And we use important term for the loving kindness or metta, and then three other interrelated qualities. The term we use is Brahma Vihara, right? The divine abodes. So when we are truly in this state of loving kindness, we are actually transcending our sensual realm. That means, usually, we live our life looking for sensual gratification, looking for sensual, stimulation and sensual indulgence, and that is the nature of, all living beings on this human realm, animal realm, and even, sensual divine realm. That's the main motive of our being. We are always looking for some sensual gratification, sensory stimulation. But when we practice loving kindness, although we are in the sensual realm physically, we mentally experience non-sensual realm. In Brahma Vihara, the Brahma does not only means divine. In the Buddhist understanding, we have Deva realm, which is a sensual realm, and then we have Brahma realm, which is non-sensual realm. So it elevates our mind into that non-sensual realm. So that's what we can experience. So in simply, when we say divine abodes, we can say, when we are in loving kindness, we are like living in heaven on earth. Right? But it's not simply heaven. It's actually non-sensual realm, Brahma realm, which is even higher than general, heaven. Even our normal concept of heaven, in common understanding, is the heaven is that you have all kinds of pleasures. It's all kinds of sensual pleasures, right? And people will, follow any discipline, willing to be deprived from any pleasure because they can get it later in heaven. So usual understanding of heaven is it is full of pleasures. But the kind of heaven or the Brahma realm that we are talking about is not sensual pleasure actually, but even beyond that. We don't feel any need for sensual pleasure because we find a deep satisfaction, happiness in the deep calmness and stillness of the mind. So that is what's going to happen when you practice, metta. So I'm glad that you started this course on these very, very important virtues. They are human virtues, but actually we can become supra-human by developing these virtues. The term metta has been translated in different ways, and loving kindness is the most common way. But we can use any word, and then there's another term called goodwill. And Bhante Gunaratana, Bhante Ji, has translated it as loving friendliness, because the very term metta comes from the similar roots of mitta. When you say kalyana mitta, the mitta is a Pali term for friends. So there is an element of friendliness in the quality of metta, friendliness. That means if you are truly a friend of someone, then you kind of accept your friend's weaknesses also, right? And you are okay. The friends. If you are truly a true friend, that. You will know all the bad things that person has done together with the good things also, but you still maintain your good relationship because you kind of accept it, you kind of forgive it, you're still willing to help the person, but you don't then stop your friendship just because your friend has weaknesses or failures. So the metta is that kind of quality that we maintain this genuine wish of well-being towards everyone, irrespective of their qualities, irrespective of their weaknesses or responses. So therefore there's an element of, it is like practicing metta would be like, being a friend to everyone. How you treat your best friend in your life. What kind of, way you relate to that person, right? So maintaining that kind of attitude towards all people, not easy, but that is the, so being a friend to the world, being a true friend to the world, and never wishing harm, never wishing, decline, downfall of anyone, and always wishing well-being, and being ready to do help whatever the way we can, whenever opportunity arises. So being friend to even to little creatures, being a friend to a bird. If a bird is your friend, how you treat that bird, right? And if a little ant is your friend, how you treat that ant. So developing that kind of attitudes towards all people. Even the other people who are driving with you in the early morning in the heavy traffic. If you consider the person going in front of you as your best friend, how you will treat, right? And the people, going in your sides, if you treat them as friends, you will try to give you away, right? You will not try to block them. So that's the kind of attitude, that we should develop in practicing of metta. But metta is related to 4 other qualities. Metta is the prime or prominent quality that we develop. This friendliness, this goodwill, this wish of well-being, so in addition to being having an element of friendliness, in the commentaries, metta is defined as mejjati metta. The Pali term mejjati means anything becomes soft, softening. So melting. So mejjati means melting. So mejjati metta is like making our heart soften, and like soften-heartedness is the other meaning. It's like making it oily. Because when it is oily means it can easily, it's very smooth, right? Yeah. If we have any machine that in different wheels work together, and those everything will work very smoothly if you put a little bit oil into it, right? And so that is the kind of a quality that when we work together as a group, as a team, as a community. Of course, there are points of disagreement and tensions, but we add metta, that it makes everything smooth and oily. So that idea, mejjati metta, that soften-heartedness. So with that is the prominent quality that we should develop. But then that quality can be cultivated and also can be manifested in different ways, and that is what we call the other interrelated qualities. So starting with metta, the next one is called karuna, which is compassion. That means when we have this genuine wish of well-being, goodwill, always wishing, well-being and to others, and then whenever you notice someone is suffering, and then your metta will be expressed or transformed into karuna, means compassion. That means you wish that suffering to be relieved, and you are willing to do something to relieve the suffering of others. So compassion or karuna arises in us when we encounter suffering in other people. But metta is a general attitude that we develop towards everyone, just wishing well-being. And then when you notice suffering in others, and then you develop this empathy, you develop this, you feel that, you need to, you are willing to do something about it. That empathy is, that is compassion. But then the other quality called mudita, that means whenever you see someone is happy, and someone is successful, someone is doing well, and then you will rejoice it, and you approve it, and you are happy about it. And that is mudita. So we call sympathetic joy, or appreciative joy, or altruistic joy. So when we maintain this metta attitude, and we have that always friendly attitude, that goodwill, and then whenever we encounter different things, if we're suffering, we express, we feel compassion, and if we are happy, we feel sympathetic joy. And when you continue to do that, there's a fourth quality that will be developed within our mind, which is the most important quality. Actually, is called upekha, which is the equanimity, the balance of the mind. Because now your mind is not, agitated, not, slanted. It will be balanced. But equanimity also comes with deep wisdom, because it's almost like an acceptance. We can have a genuine wish of well-being to everyone, and we will try to do whatever we can to relieve the suffering of others, and we will rejoice happiness of others. But there is always a limit what we can do to help others. As a living being, as an individual being, we are always limited. We cannot solve all the problem, and we cannot, even we want to help others, sometimes others are not willing to accept our help. And no matter how many times we help, they still, go back to the same suffering. So when we encounter those things with equanimity, we kind of accept that, there is always a limitation. And every individual being has their own karma, their own samsaric journey. They come with their own karmic baggage. Therefore, there's always a limitation. Just because I wish well-being to everyone doesn't mean that everyone will be well and happy the next day. So we understand it, but of course, whoever we encounter, we make sure that we don't become another reason for their suffering. We make sure that we don't add any more suffering to them, because they are already suffering. So we make sure that we don't add any. But we just realize we have an understanding that everyone has their own karmic baggage. Everyone comes with their own habits, own sankhara, own conditionings. So therefore, there's always a limit. So therefore, we kind of accept it. And we don't give up helping others just because others do not appreciate our help, or others not going to get much benefit from our help. We still continue to help, because there will be a point they will get it. So that is equanimity, maintaining that equanimous mind and with some deep understanding. So those four virtues are interrelated, and particularly in the early suttas, and all the time these four qualities are discussed together as a group, because they are so interrelated. So when we practice these qualities, and then I think today your focus is to discuss the benefits of these practicing this metta. Have you ever experienced any nightmares in your life? Nightmares, like bad dreams? Oh, okay. Yes. Have you experienced any difficulty in falling asleep? Not during your meditation, but when you go to sleep, have you experienced difficulty in falling asleep? Okay. And have you experienced, some antagonism, some resistance, some unfriendliness from other people? You go to them, but they somehow do not welcome you. They do not really treat you well. Have you experienced that? All these problems can be solved. So that is what you see in the benefits of loving kindness. Okay, I think now you get the full list of 11 benefits, and this is found in the sutta called Metta Nisansa Sutta, in the numerical discourses, and this is directly from the Buddha. So we can, when we think about these 11 benefits, I would like to, we can categorize these benefits into different groups. Some benefits are physical benefits. Others can be more like a social benefits. And then there are spiritual benefits. So physical benefits will be being able to sleep well. And if you really truly, practice loving kindness, and you will really, experience that definitely. I think, I just, conduct a 2-day retreat at Buddhist Mahavihara. And then first day, I focus more on the samatha practices, including loving kindness. And then next day I ask from the participants, and how many people have good sleep. Almost all of them say that they had a good sleep. Because throughout the day, they practice, loving kindness, and definitely that will bring them a good sleep. In Pittsburgh, we go to public libraries to teach meditation for public. There's a kind of service we offer to the public. We offer free meditation sessions in public libraries. So different days we go to different libraries, like Tuesday and Wednesday we have our own meditation, but other days we go to other local libraries. So I remember still, we go to a library on Tuesday, one Tuesday, to close a library. And then one old lady on that day, one day came to me and told me that every week I'm looking forward to Tuesday. I said, okay, that's a good sign. So I thought maybe, and then I asked why you are looking forward to Tuesday. And she said that is the day I sleep well. Because, we mainly practice loving kindness meditation when you go to libraries, as an introductory meditation. So, because she find, I haven't told her about the Metta-Nisansa Sutta, but she reported me, she looking forward to, because when people get older, definitely they have issues of falling asleep. So Tuesday she can sleep well, because she practiced meditation in the evening with us, and then she can go and sleep. So I just felt so much faith and joy in the teachings of the Buddha. This is the proof that she's saying that is the day that she sleeps well. And definitely, I think of course, there's a whole big industry now to help people to sleep. Because sleep apnea, what do you call apnea is a big problem in everywhere. So of course now people are finding out different pills. And now they are also coming up with different types of cushions, and you can different cushion. Different people have different body weights and different So and there are now new mattresses that you can set your sleep number, right? Whether you want to have really sinking bed or whether you have like a hard bed or in between, you can set the number and then the cushion will adjust accordingly. So that kind of investment, that kind of attention to help people sleep. If they know that this meditation can help them sleep that well, that could be an easy way to help people to sleep. So it's because the sleeping, and definitely it's a mental preparation. Definitely the body follows the mind. I think you clearly explains that. So that is one definitely benefit. Of course, our whole goal of practicing metta is not to sleep. But that will be a benefit. But the next one would be wake up fresh, right? Yeah, wake up fresh without any difficulty. Because if we have a deep sleep, although we may sleep many hours, but our duration of our deep sleep will be very little. But if you practice loving kindness meditation regularly, and that deep sleep state will be longer, and then when you wake up and you feel very refreshed, because you truly have rested, and not in terms of the hours, but actually quality of the sleep. Yeah. And then of course the nightmares, yeah. And so dreams are actually, replaying of our maybe suppressed, worries and concerns, and so therefore it's like a repetition the mind gets the chance to come out. So when we practice loving kindness meditation, not once but on a regular basis, and most of those concerns, most of those hurtful feelings, and most of resentment and all these things are kind of already subsided, and therefore there's no much thing to come out, and so therefore we will not have nightmares. So those are actually physical benefits, and the one other important physical benefits is number 9. Your face becomes so serene and beautiful, right? So maybe we should introduce this to cosmetic industry, yeah. How you make your face serene and beautiful. And there's a whole big industry to make that, right? And if they know that actually, this practice can really, generate inner beauty, and then also they can heal the cells and everything through inside, not really outside healing, but more like inner healing. And definitely is expression of our inner quality. And of course, continuous loving kindness practice and definitely changes our physiology. Because loving kindness, this genuine wish of well-being and this friendliness and this goodwill is actually creating this mental state of safety to us, and because otherwise, normally. Our primary motive, primary tendency within us is to protect ourselves, to survive. That is how our brain is wired to help us to survive. Therefore, we always be very defensive, very protective. Always be alert. Is there anyone to hit me? Is anyone to attack me? Anyone is there to hurt me? So we maintain that kind of survival mode. But loving kindness allow us to to go beyond that survival mode. Of course, we need the survival mode if there's someone is coming in front of us, with some weapon. But we should not have that mode all the time in our life, because that mode may help us to be protected, be safe, but it's not helping us to thrive, to helping us to be healthy. Because survival mode is ready to fight or flight mode, and it's kind of stop all of our other growth hormone and nothing growing when we are ready to fight, and even our digestion is stopped for a moment, and because we all our energy is to attack or run away. So therefore the growth will not happen. But when we practice loving kindness regularly, we kind of let that survival mode subside, and then our body has more room to grow, more room for cells to develop, more, and then also a lot of changes happening in the brain, all the good hormones, like we call happy hormones, like dopamines and serotonin, and all these things can be released. When you practice loving kindness just now, and your brain changed, and you release this healing hormones to your whole system, and particularly the stress hormone, adrenaline is stopped. Instead, we have other hormones. So if you practice loving kindness few times a day, or maintain this not the meditation but attitude throughout the day, and then it's really healing to body. And then facial expression is only one indicator, but the whole body is reset to healing mode when we practice loving kindness. So those are the physical benefits, right? But then we have other social benefits. That really means that we become pleasant to other people, right? And so we, because when we practice loving kindness, when we maintain that goodwill within our mind, and that is kind of that can be felt in a non-verbal level, So our communication with others happen not only through verbal communication, but also non-verbal communication. Whenever we enter a place, you go with a certain, certain energy. If you are really anxious and afraid, and when you enter the room, others can feel it. This person is not settled, and they also feel uneasiness to deal with that person. But if you go with beautiful, nice wish, carrying that nice wish within you, and your peace, your inner peace, or that genuine wish of well-being is communicated to all other people, not directly, not verbally, not even at the conscious level. At the very unconscious level, they feel it. I think you clearly say there's non-threatening. Other person doesn't feel threatening when we approach, when we enter a space. But it has to be started with our heart. So then, if, like, for example, let's say you practice loving kindness meditation every morning before you leave home. You just take a few minutes to wish well-being to yourself and everyone else, just like we did, even a shorter version. And then you go out. And when you go out to maybe a coffee shop, and people in that shop kind of influenced by you, because you carry that positive energy, that the quality that is felt by other people in unconscious way, and so therefore automatically other people will be friendly to us, or they will be, they will, in most cases they will agree to us too. Yeah. So those are the human beings, but there is applied not only to human beings and non-human beings too, including animals. Particularly animals feel our emotions very clearly, and then and particularly let's say the other wild animals, and they usually attack human beings, not because not mostly they are hungry, but mostly they attack human beings because they feel threatened by us. Yeah. When I always think about, when our like monks, the forest dwelling monks, when they live in the forest, they live in the deep in the forest and with all kinds of animals, mainly in like we have snakes and many other animals. But we rarely hear that, these monks are being, hit by, or attacked by those animals. But they live with those animals. Because they practice loving kindness meditation, therefore those animals don't feel threatened by them. So in most cases they become so friendly with them, right? So it's even non-human beings feel it. Yeah. I remember one day I visited a whole house in Sri Lanka, and so I didn't inform them. I was going there to visit an old person who is sick, their parent, their mother. So when I went there, somehow their dog is out. Their dog, the dog. Yeah. So that dog is not a friendly dog. Of course, I think in Sri Lanka, I think maybe in Malaysia also, dogs are not really kind of pets you keep inside the home and pampered. They're not like that. Dogs are protectors. Dogs are like they are always out. They are protecting the property. So when I was walking towards their home, and the dog felt that there's a stranger, and now he's coming and running towards me. He's so fierce, and I really think that I'm maybe intruding his property, or his area. So he's coming towards me, running, and there's no owner of the house to like stop him. And initially I got really afraid what I'm going to do. Can I run? But with rope I cannot run either. And then of course I know that running will make things worse. So what I did, so he's running towards me, I stopped there, and doesn't matter what, let anything happen, but I know that this animal is just doing his job. Maybe he felt threatened because I intrude, instead of like, feeling angry or resentful about that dog. I know that dogs are like that. So I practice metta. Like, and I genuinely wish, may he feel non-threatened, may he be well. I just, close my eyes and froze myself and then just wish well-being. That's all I felt. And then suddenly I didn't feel anything. I opened my eyes. He's next to me, smelling me, smelling my robe. And the owner came home and said, my goodness. I mean, he apologized that they did not, put him in the cage. But he was so surprised that the dog didn't attack me. So I don't know. So I just, wish well-being to him, and then, so somehow when he come very close to me, he didn't feel I'm threatening. So just, stop and, smell me. So I mean, maybe if you are having any issue with any animal, that may be something you can do, yeah. I know that some people in Sri Lanka, when they have, problems with, cockroaches, problem with, mice and all kind of animals, they sometimes chant loving kindness sutra and then sprinkle water. At least, they, at least they, spread their loving kindness, because they don't wish harm to them. They just, invite them to live. Yes, it's a kind of way of saying, right? So those things can be practiced, actually. So loving kindness can, bring. At the same time, it's also, non-human beings also include other beings. Like, for example, like, what about, other unseen beings? Like, of course, many people are afraid of ghosts, but, there is a realm. We can call them ghosts, but we call Petti Visaya or Peta. Those are the beings. Actually, they are quite, innocent beings. Somehow they, it's not a fortunate realm. The people who have too much attachment to their worldly, belongings. They are not ready to leave. So they still hang around, those things, and they become petas, hungry ghosts. So, but they are suffering beings. They are innocent, actually. They are innocent. They are looking. They are always yearning. They are always like thirst of some pleasure, but cannot really fulfill completely. So sometimes people are so afraid of haunted houses, ghosts, and that may be one big problem for everyone. But if you are a person who's practicing loving kindness, and even ghosts will be okay with you. They will leave you alone. and then, so the best protection, even from ghosts, is practicing loving kindness. And so they will not be able to harm you, and they will not feel to disturb you, because they don't feel threatened by you. So they will leave you alone. So that's a good way. And Devata Rakkanti, like, will be protected by deities. Means, I think, and even when we practice that kind of, that maintain that kind of loving and kind attitude, and definitely we receive support from everyone, including other beings. So if you really want to get some support, maybe, you want to go for have a safe journey. Maybe you want a little bit support, additional support, from other beings. So practicing loving kindness and of course sharing merits with the divine beings is the way that we can get some support. In Buddhist understanding, there is a divine realm, a sensual realm and non-sensual realm, and they are not very different from us. They are having a fortunate life because they have done a lot of meritorious deeds, particularly a lot of dana, a lot of sila, but not a lot of meditation. The beings who have done a lot of meditation will be born in the Brahma realm. But other realms, they are just, full of merits, they are so fortunate. So they have some power, they have some, fortunate life, but that doesn't mean that they are enlightened or they are, beyond samsara. They are still, they also have, jealousy among each other. They also have, some quarrels in time to time, but they are having a relatively fortunate life than many other beings. So sometimes we can just help each other. We can help them by inviting them to rejoice in the good deeds that we have done. Because the more they rejoice in the good deeds, they can prolong their life in the divine realm. Because the divine realm, they are living because of their good karma. The more they live, they also exhaust their karma. If they invite them to rejoice our good deeds, they can prolong their life. We can help them. And they can also sometimes help us in certain little ways. So sometimes they can make things easy for us. Right? But practicing loving kindness and is also, we attract them. Good, let's say spirits is not a good word, but we attract good beings to us when we practice loving kindness. I think maybe number 7 I will leave it for discussion. Okay, number 7. I will. If you really want to know more about it, you can ask us a question. And then the other benefits. Those are the social benefits. Like we get, like good social network, with human beings and non-human beings, and harmonious living. And then the more spiritual benefits is the most important one here. One is our mind gets settled or concentrated very easily. If you have a hard time in meditating, and start with loving kindness. And in my own personal practice, I always, even before I do anapanasati meditation breathing, I usually start with loving kindness, and that's the beginning. That's the kind of we call priming, the priming for calmness. Yeah. So it clearly says that if you are a practitioner of loving kindness, it will be very easy for you to settle your mind and get concentrated. So that's the spiritual benefit. And how good, if that happens. We don't have to struggle a lot when we go for a retreat, when we want to have a settled and calm mind. We don't have to struggle a lot. Just sit down and take a nice breath and just gently settle down because of the loving kindness practice. And then, asammulho kalang karoti. I think the peaceful death or mindful death is one of the best gifts, one of the best things we can have in our life. So I think that is given as one benefit. We will die without confusion because of the long practice. And because we already, we know how to settle our mind through loving kindness, and even at that moment we can maintain that. I remember, I visited a patient who practiced meditation with us in our Buddhist center, but later he got sick and he was admitted to hospice. And I visited him, and then, so of course, people admitted to hospice, having all kinds of issues. So I told him, even though you are incapable of doing many things, in your body, I told him that you are never going to be, no matter, even though you cannot, you come to a point that you cannot move your hand, but you still can do one thing, that is to wish well-being to everyone. You may not be able to move your body, but you are fully capable of wishing well-being to everyone, wishing well to all others. That skill, that capacity, that ability will never leave you. So I encourage him to, even in that, the bed, continue to do that. Continue to just wish well-being, whoever come and help him, whoever, in this other patients, sitting with him in the same, facility. And so even at the moment of death, maybe we are fully, bedridden, or we are like, fully, limited, what we can do. Maybe even we cannot talk. Even in that moment, we still can wish well-being. We still can have metta. So just remember that. If we can maintain that, someone who's practicing metta on a regular basis, and then if you happen to be like that, of course we all face this moment, right? And then it will be really helpful if we'll train ourselves That is what I'm going to do in my last moment. I'm going to wish all living beings well-being and peace. I'm going to wish that. So if we can die with that thought, and definitely that will be a peaceful death, that will be, a nice, beautiful death, and even our face will be very beautiful even after we die. Yes. But importantly, the next one will be, and then of course our rebirth will be a pleasant one. Because that will be the however that we live will be the way we will reborn if you're not enlightened. And the 11, the last one is called we will be born in a happy realm, particularly the Brahma realm. Again, because if we continue to practice loving kindness, as I mentioned at the beginning, we kind of transcend our inclination, our attachment, our bonding to sensual realm. We kind of go beyond our senses. We kind of discover the different kind of happiness beyond senses. So the Brahma realm is a realm that is so peaceful, and there's no agitation at all. So such a peaceful state, the only thing is that life is also limited. It means you die. But it's a long life, but you die. But there's also not much wisdom, only the peace. Sometimes it's just only the peace. So the Brahma realm is quite a nice realm to be, and so even the beings who have developed loving kindness to a higher level be born in that realm. It's a peaceful state to be. But it's not fully enlightenment, and there are limitations, you even die. And there's a lifespan. And then, of course, next moment, we never know where we will go. So therefore, the enlightenment even going beyond all realms, including Brahma realm. But loving kindness can bring us to the best realm where we can be. So those are the realms, I think, sometime in Mahayana tradition, we understand as pure lands. So practicing loving kindness is the way to go there. Yeah. So those are the 11 benefits given here. But I think before I open for the discussion, I would like to share one other thing, one other very important benefits we can have with loving kindness. That is actually, loving kindness is the effective method to overcome our bad karma. There are few sutras, I will share two sutras that will, Buddha has clearly explained how, if let's say if we have some bad karma that we have done, maybe, when we are not really, knew the Dhamma, we were not practicing well, maybe not in this life, sometime previous lives too. If you notice that, anything you do is not become successful, and, unnecessary troubles, things are not easy, things are not smooth. Maybe, in addition, no matter how you try, things are not really coming into place. Maybe some influence from some of the bad karma. And there's one important sutta called Lona Pala Sutta, like what we call salt crystal sutta, the example. So there Buddha explained that, sometimes people do very trivial karma, but that karma can bring very serious consequences to some person. But another person can do the same trivial karma, but that person, the way the karma influence him may be a very tiny little effect, and even do not remain for the next life. The same karma, but has a different effects. And this sounds very unfair. As we do the same trivial karma, one case it can bring so much hardships and difficulty and very heavy consequences, and for another person it can bring very light consequences. And Buddha asked, do you know what is the reason? And Buddha explained the reason is that and he used the term, when we have undeveloped body, undeveloped mind, and undeveloped, speech, and then he used the word, we have limited heart. It's called paritha, a small heart. When you have a small heart, any little thing we do can bring us so many difficult consequences. And then he said that why some person do the same karma that he doesn't experience that much, pain and difficulty as consequences. Because any person who has developed body means actually when we have more sila in our life and more meditation, and then use the term expanded mind. So there's two terms here. One is paritha, means a narrow mind. The other one is mahagata or mahatta, expanded mind. He talks about possibility of narrow mind and possibility of expanded mind. Narrow mind is not in the sense of our normal usage. And then he explained what we mean by narrow mind. Our mind is narrow when you do not practice loving kindness. And our mind is expanded when we practice loving kindness and other Brahma Viharas. And then he given an interesting example for us to understand this. Buddha asked the monks, okay, think about a small bowl of water. And if someone put a salt crystal into that small cup of water, what's going to happen to that water? It's going to be salty, right? So you cannot drink. And Buddha asked, how about the same crystal salt is dropped into the Ganges river? Let's say a big lake. You put the same salt crystal into a big lake or river. Will that salt make a difference in that lake? Maybe, tiny, right? It almost not noticeable. And the Buddha said exactly that is what is happening in our life. When our mind is so self-centered, so narrow, no opening, it's very, very self-centered, even a little karma we do has an effect of that, that in salt, because it's so narrow. But if you are a person who's practicing loving kindness, and immeasurable loving kindness, and continuously practicing, and use the word mahagata, is like expanded mind. It's just like that big lake of water. Even a little karma will have a little effect. I would say that actually loving kindness can be used to dilute our bad karma. Dilute. Let's say you have a water and some maybe some color water, maybe it's red drink. You have a red drink, and now you keep pouring water into that container. Keep pouring. After a while, what will happen? Yeah, you will. Those redness will be gone, and you will have a clear water, right? So let's say if we have done some bad karma, if we notice that if we keep practicing loving kindness, it's like a diluting the old karma. So I think the best way to overcome the effect of the bad karma is to do the counterpart good karma, but also practicing loving kindness is clearly indicated in the this Lonapala Sutta. And also there's another sutta called Karajakaya Sutta, where we find the same message. Let me yes, there Buddha explained that we use our body, we use our speech to do actions, but we will even leave this body, but whatever karma that we perform using this body will follow us, right? But Buddha said that, but if someone make let's say someone practice loving kindness, and then his mind become developed mind, we call bhavita chitta. There Buddha used the term bhavita chitta. Earlier he used the term expanded mind, and then here he used the term bhavita chitta, means developed mind. And then let me read that. A noble disciple is rid of desire, rid of ill will, unconfused, aware, mindful. They meditate spreading a heart full of loving kindness to one direction and to the second direction, the third direction, the fourth direction, just like we did. In the same way, above, below, across and everywhere, all around, they spread heart full of loving kindness to whole world, abundant, expansive, limitless, free of enmity and ill will. They understand, after they practice, they understand. Formerly, my mind was limited and undeveloped. Now, it is limitless and well developed. Whatever limited deeds I have done do not remain or persist there. So if you learn the Lonapala Sutta, the Sutta on the salt crystal and the Karajakaya Sutta, together you get a complete picture. Like when our mind is limited and then whatever karma we have done is very, very effective, very impactful. But when our mind is developed, even some of the limited deeds I have done don't remain or persist there. So this is an interesting technology actually we should learn as a way of practicing. So therefore, so that's the other benefit. So metta is the best technique to overcome our bad karma. But then the other one I would like to add is that is found in the Metta Sutta that we chant. Towards the end of the Metta Sutta, we have this phrase, the dittincha anupagamma silava dassanena sampanno kamesu vinaya gedam. So there Buddha explained that through continuous practicing of loving kindness, we can get rid of desire for sensual pleasures. So it's so interesting how the loving kindness is almost very different, significantly different from attachment, significantly different from desire. So kamesu vinaya gedam. Gedam is another term for craving. Craving for sensual pleasure is being removed with the help of loving kindness. Of course, we have to have wisdom, like insight, to completely to remove it. But loving kindness is also a way to overcome our craving for sensual pleasure. Because if you are truly practicing loving kindness, and if you truly feel well-being and goodness of the other person, in most of the cases, our sensual pleasures are actually using others for our own pleasure. Like there's an element of exploiting others, right? When we engage in sensual pleasures, most of the time, we try to use other people to have a personal pleasure, right? So our focus is our personal pleasure. So our sensual pleasure, we try to make use of other people to have it. So there's an element of selfishness, element of exploitation, element of unkindness there. But if you are truly practicing loving kindness, and you find a different kind of joy that you don't even have a very strong desire and need to have sensual indulgence, but even you have an opportunity, you think that am I really putting a burden on this person? Am I particularly the kind of lust or karma? And you don't feel like exploiting that person for my own personal pleasure. So it's therefore practicing loving kindness allow us to go beyond that personal pleasure and then have more deeper, compassion and to everyone. So it's a way to overcome our craving for sensual pleasures too. That will be one benefit. But last point is actually all the loving kindness can bring us to a higher and higher level, but it alone cannot really bring us complete liberation. We need to add wisdom at the end. It can bring very close, but loving kindness itself is not sufficient for full liberation. We need to bring wisdom for that, and so insight to completely eradicate the craving and ignorance. So, but it can bring us very far, very far. So in the last one we say nahi jatu gabba seyang punareti iti, the one will not comes back to the wombs, mother's wombs, right? So it doesn't mean that, sometimes some people will try to interpret it like, we will we transcend the rebirth. But very interestingly, this term used is gabba, means womb. That person will not return to the womb. Because womb is only one form of birth. And we'll already learn that if you practice loving kindness to the highest level, you will be born in the Brahma realm, non-sensual realm. And so that means you can become anagami, non-returner, through practice of loving kindness. But that doesn't mean the full enlightenment. So you will not come back to the human realm, but it still will be in the samsara if you do not practice, vipassana and insight. Yeah, so it can bring us quite far, but not all the way. So we still need, insight and wisdom to do that.